Piker and Cenk Uygur, very online personalities, left-wing streamers who are beloved by a lot of the mainstream media in the United States, both supporters of various terrorist groups and foreign governments. It was a big story over the course of the last few days that the UK had denied entry to them. The UK Times, the Sunday Times, Times of London rather, reported that it did have to do with their anti-Semitic views. Quote, the decision to block.
So guys, I'm going to stop every once in a while to break down some of the lies. They said that we support terrorist groups. We don't support any. I certainly don't support any terrorist groups. I also don't support Israel, which is the largest terrorist group of all. And so he's flat out lying to his audience. It's not that surprising. But the most hilarious, he's going to say something way worse in a minute. But the funny part of the video is, I'm beloved by mainstream media.
It's hilarious.
Oh my God, I've never heard a bigger lie. Show me one person in mainstream media who doesn't despise me. Okay, I haven't seen one yet. Every single article is super negative with the most disgusting lie after lie, including the Times in London that I didn't even know was a Murdoch operation. So no wonder they smeared the hell out of me with nonsense character assassinations. So already you have two massive lies there, but he's about to get much worse.
Had denied entry to them. The UK Times, the Sunday Times, Times of London rather, reported that it did have to do with their anti-Semitic views. Quote, the decision to block Uygur from traveling to the UK is understood to have been based on several grounds, including fears that his presence would risk exacerbating anti-Semitism due to his rhetoric since the October 7th attacks in 2023. This has included repeating classic anti-Semitic tropes, such as the claim that Israel controls America. So, again, this reporting is the basis for why Cenk and Piker are claiming that they are being banned for their feelings on Israel. Piker himself is suggesting that he is not anti-Semitic, right? He is just anti-Zionist. Now, as I've mentioned before, this is a distinction without any practical difference. If you're calling for the destruction of the Jewish state, which exists in the here and now, you're not having a prospective conversation in 1920 about whether there ought to be a Jewish state in the Middle East or not. It exists. It's been existing for 80 years. You're not calling for the destruction of Pakistan, a Muslim-only state. You're not calling for the destruction of any of the dozens of other states around the world. You're only calling for the destruction of the Jewish state, which would entail the murder of millions of Jews.
So he just said there that we're advocating for the murder of millions of Jews. I can't imagine a bigger lie. And will there be any consequences? Will he be canceled? Will he be banned in any country? No, he's going to be welcomed with open arms. And by who? Mainstream media, who nonstop writes glowing articles about Ben Shapiro. Do you know to this day, the morons in mainstream media write as if Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro are the actual right wing, and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Sean Ryan and others are fringe characters on the right who are no longer relevant. Now, the reality is the exact opposite. Ben Shapiro has almost no audience left, and those guys have massive audiences. So, but mainstream media, they love him, they love his lies, so that he will never be canceled by anyone for saying that outrageous lie. If I said, hey, Ben Shapiro wants to murder millions of Muslims, people would say, how dare you, what a lie, he has no credibility, never allow him on air, never have him near a politician. And Ben Shapiro does this disgusting lie, and there'll be nothing that comes out of it.
Well, what's his other option, Cenk? His other option would be to engage in the substance of what you actually have to say and debate on those grounds. And he can't do that.
Yeah.
He can't do that. It's that simple. Because Ben is placed in a position, he has placed himself in a position of having to defend the indefensible. So since he can't do that, he's just gonna make up that Cenk is calling for the death of Jewish people. No, that is not what he's ever called for. It's just ridiculous, man. I don't know what else to say. Their only argument, and they say it in different ways, but it's essentially always the same argument, is you hate Jewish people, even when there's absolutely no evidence of that, because he can't engage the substance of Cenk's arguments.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna break it down a little bit further. So he says, well, there's no difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, but wait a minute. there are a lot of Jews who are not Zionists. In fact, there's now a lot of Jews who are anti-Zionist.
Well, Ben doesn't consider them Jews.
So, well, okay, then you could just call them anything you want.
No,
but
they are Jewish.
But who made you the Jewish Pope? So why are you more Jewish than my Jewish friends? Well, because I love the death and the genocide that Israel's causing more. No, that doesn't make you more Jewish. I would argue that it makes you less Jewish. The real Judaism is compassionate, has stuck up for other people during the Civil Rights Movement, doing so many others, taking care of the disadvantaged. And Ben Shapiro says, no, the real face of Judaism is death, destruction, war, and genocide that Israel is doing. I can't imagine anything more anti-Semitic than him claiming that that represents all Jews. So it's not remotely true, it's not factual. And are there Zionists who aren't Jewish? Yes, there might be more Christian Zionists than there are Jewish Zionists. So no. Why does he do that purposely wrong and false conflation between Israel and all Jews in the world? Which, by the way, is deeply dangerous to Jews across the world because governments do terrible things, not just the Israeli government. If you attach a religion to any government, that is dangerous. Luckily, the world doesn't really think that Saudi Arabia is a Muslim state that represents all Muslims. But if they did, I'd be screaming from the rooftops, they don't represent us. They're just a government trying to protect themselves, having nothing to do with the rest of the Muslim world. That's also true of the politicians in charge of the Israeli government. But Ben Shapiro doesn't want to admit that, because if he does, then he can't hide behind Jewish civilians. So he wants to be able to say, you're not allowed to criticize Israel, because if you do, then you're an anti-Semite and you should be canceled and no one should get to hear your facts, because I have no answer for your facts. So I'm just trying to shut them down. One last thing as part of that, he said, now if you're an anti-Zionist, that means you want Israel destroyed. No, it doesn't mean that at all. All it means is you want democracy. Israel claims to be a democracy, but they're a dictatorship in the occupied territories, and 5.5 million Palestinians have lived under their brutal tyranny for the last 58 years. So when American media tells you that they're a democracy, they're actively, purposely lying to you, because what that does is it invalidates the existence of Palestinians. It makes them less than human, saying, oh, there's a democracy in Israel proper, so the fact that they're occupying all these people is irrelevant because the Palestinians aren't real humans. So no, we're not trying to destroy Israel. I've said 1,000,000 times, I don't want civilians getting hurt on either side at all, ever. And I want a free and independent Israel and Palestine, and I want them to be perfectly safe. But it doesn't matter what we say, guys. You could hear us say the same thing 200 times, and a Zionist like Ben Shapiro is gonna come out and lie about us anyway. And no one's gonna correct him in media, no one's gonna care, and there's gonna be no consequences because our entire media infrastructure is built around supporting Israel. It's insane. I'm genuinely shocked by it. And then look at the last thing he mentioned in the middle there. He said earlier, they say that they got banned for criticizing Israel, but that's not true at all. It's because of their anti-Semitic statements. And then he looks and looks and looks. Well, it's because they said that Israel controls America, and we think saying anything about Israel is anti-Semitic by definition. So it was about Israel. It was about our criticism of Israel. And does Israel give to 94% of Congress? Yes. Are they the #1 lobby in the last election cycle that gave the most to Congress? Yes. So we are right and he is wrong. That's why he has to say anti-Semitism. And oh my God, they want to murder. And guys, last thing. The people they terrorize the most is actually not us and not the average American. It might seem like that. No, they terrorize Jewish people more than anyone else. Because if you believe what Ben Shapiro is saying, you're gonna quake under the blankets the whole time. They're gonna kill us all. They're gonna kill us all. They're about to kill us. They're about to kill us. The whole world hates us. We have to attack them first. What is that? That's a psychotic attitude. I get the trauma of Jewish people in history. Holocaust happened, the pogroms happened. I understand where it comes from. But today, Israel is not a little victim. Israel has Iron Dome, nuclear weapons, and the biggest military, and has attacked 7 of their neighbors and committed a genocide. They're not victims. And claiming that they are, and getting every Jewish person, it doesn't work on all Jewish people, but trying to get every Jewish person to be worried about their lives. We're gonna die, everyone hates us, we're all gonna die. That's the kind of propaganda that Ben Shapiro does to protect Israel, which poisons the minds of anyone who listens to it. God forbid you think it's true, because if you think it's true, it's much worse for you than for us, because we know it's lies. My God, I mean, what would you do if you thought that someone was going to kill millions of people? You might want to attack them, right? And that's exactly what Ben Shapiro wants.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.